Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Conversations with PH and welcome to the second episode of Money Conversations with PH. Before we get into it, I'd love to thank you guys for the positive response to this platform. We see your love and we strongly, highly appreciate it. Please tell your friends about it, tell your families about it. But as we said, the main purpose really of this platform is to spark conversations. So beyond you actually giving us positive feedback, we want you to take these conversations to your inner circles, your outer circles, and everybody around you. Let's talk about money. Let's talk about conversations that matter, conversations that truly enrich our lives and the people around us. So today we are talking about money yet again. Topic for today is money, riches, and wealth. We know these three words, they get used interchangeably a lot of the time, so we start thinking maybe they mean the same thing, but do they really? I'd like us to unpack all three. So at the end of this conversation, I want us to at least have shed some light in terms of what is money, what is wealth, and what are riches. Personally for me, I want to get money, I want to live rich, and I want to die wealthy. So that is me on my side. Let's get into it. What is money? When we look at the definition of money, it's defined as a current medium of exchange, so in the form of coins, in the form of banknotes. This is what we use to exchange goods and services. If I want to buy goods or services, I'll use money as a mode of exchange, a medium of exchange. So money comes in cash, and also money we can transact using electronic means, but in actual fact we are talking about a medium of exchange. And then what are riches? What does it mean to be rich? When you look at the dictionary definition of richness, you are said to be rich if you have a great deal of money or assets. And the definition of being rich also makes reference to you being wealthy. It says that you basically have money and it's existing in plentiful quantities, meaning that your money is actually abundant. Then when we look at wealth, what is wealth and what does it really mean to be wealthy? The definition says that, wealth is basically an abundance of valuable possessions or money. It's a plentiful supply of a particular thing. And, when you look at the definition of both being rich and being wealthy, it seems like it might be the same thing, because in both instances, we're making references to money and we're talking about abundant supply of assets or possessions. We're talking about plentiful quantities. So you might think, okay, maybe if I'm rich, then I am wealthy, or wealthy and riches are basically the same thing. But are we really talking about the same thing? Let's dig a bit deeper. When you dig a bit deeper and you start trying to understand what the differences between being rich and being wealthy is, a common theme that comes out quite a lot is the idea of net worth. So when we look at wealth is generally determined in terms of your net worth. Your net worth, and the most simplest way is when you start trying to calculate it, it's basically taking your assets less your liabilities. So the difference between your assets and your liabilities would be your net worth. And ideally you want that to be positive, meaning that your assets exceed your liabilities. Assets in this case, we're referring to those things that help you make more money, generate more revenue, generate more income. Whereas liabilities, we're looking at things that you generally need to pay off, debt, that you owe somebody and you actually need to pay it off. So when you then start unpacking, you start realizing that riches are focused mostly on material things. We're talking about things that you can see with your own eye, you can touch, you can feel. So generally you can almost always see when a person is rich or supposedly rich. But can you really tell when someone is wealthy? That is the question. Let's look at our high net worth individuals. So high net worth individuals are generally categorized as individuals that have assets or net worth higher than 1 million US dollars. So anybody whose assets or net worth or wealth is more than $1 million, those are American dollars, would be considered as a high net worth individual. Then we also have what they call ultra high net worth individuals, who generally then that figure moves from being $1 million to at least $30 million. So anybody above those thresholds, we're looking at high net worth individuals. And it is said that, and also let's also bear in mind that when we're looking at these figures, we're looking at dollars. So if we look at our current exchange rate, the rand is sitting at just below 20 rands to the dollar. So when we look at high net worth individuals, we're literally looking at our millionaires, like the big guys, the guys with the money, the guys with the chankura, the randelas after conversion. So it is said that these wealthy individuals generally do not drive the latest cars. They don't necessarily go with the trends when it comes to clothes, or wear flashy things rather. And you could actually pass them like without actually knowing that this person that you just passed right now is wealthy. When we look at South Africa specifically, it is said that in South Africa, we have just under 40,000 of these millionaires, and we have 5 billionaires. So these people are generally considered to be wealthy. And if you look at our current population, these figures, if we look at these wealthy individuals, these millionaires, they make up about 6 to 7% of our population. And my question then becomes, do you know these individuals? Like, how many of those 40,000 millionaires do you know on a personal level, or at least have heard about? Now, let's compare it to the number of rich people. I'll put rich here in inverted commas. The rich people that you actually do know or have at least heard about. Do you think that these people that you consider to be rich are sitting in that top 6%? I'm talking about the people that are now deep within the money. Do you think the people that you perceive to be rich are actually sitting within that 6%? And another question then I'd also like to pose to you is, how do you even know that these people are actually rich? Is it because that they're always popping the most expensive bottles in the club, wherever they're at, wearing the latest designer clothes, making sure that we can see the labels, and always making sure that they're making it rain because they want people to know that they've arrived? Is that how you know that a person is actually rich? Let me just leave this one before I get into trouble. So after that, deep dive, or at least digging a bit deeper, looking at these differences between what we consider to be a wealthy person, which in essence we're looking at their net worth, and when we look at a rich person, we're looking at the abundance, of materials or what we can see. Do you think that one could be rich without necessarily being wealthy? That is the question. Could a person potentially be rich but not be wealthy? I say 100% for sure. How many shows do we know of people that come on our television screens and talk about how they once lived their life, doing the most, buying the most, spending the most, and now they're just down and out? They have little to nothing to their names, but at some point, those individuals were actually rich. They once had it all. We've heard of those stories. We've seen the people on our television screens. So we actually then realized that being rich refers to abundance, right? But when it comes to abundance of anything really, abundance can be depleted, meaning that abundance can run out if not spent wisely. So you can have an abundance of money, i.e., be rich. However, if you're not making the right decisions in terms of managing that money, you could lose that money and you'll end up with zilch, meaning you're back to square one. When we look at wealth, however, because wealth refers specifically to net worth, what that actually then tells us is that when a person is wealthy, they focus on spending a lot of their money on actually buying assets that generate them more money, assets that actually make sure that there will be a continuous inflow of money into the bucket. Unlike money constantly going outside, or rather leaving your pocket, you have actually accumulated assets or bought assets that make sure that money is also coming in, meaning that it is less likely, to be honest, that a wealthy person can go from being wealthy to being broke. Highly unlikely. So when it comes to wealth, really, we're not saying do not live a rich lifestyle, not at all, but rather check that there's a balance, right? You can't be on a negative net worth. So to answer the questions, definitely it is possible, very much possible, to be rich and not be wealthy. However, it is almost impossible to be wealthy but not rich. So which one do you want? Let's look at our society. What do you guys think is the thing that we prioritize the most in society? Do we prioritize being rich or do we prioritize being wealthy? To be honest, I think it's a quick one, easy one. All you need to do really is look at social media. We prioritize the rich lifestyle. Everybody must see that you have money because you have the latest fashion, the designer clothes that cost you 100k, whatever the case may be. You're buying the latest car on credit. You're not even buying it cash. So society is definitely prioritizing riches over wealth any day. Everybody must know. The only time we'll take you seriously is if you look like you have money, meaning you look rich. Right? And most of the time you'll find that we'll spend our money, on things that gratify us momentarily to impress people that in most cases we don't even like these people, but we're willing to take our hard-earned cash to buy stuff so that we can somehow get approval from them, or look like we've got money. Wealthy people are not necessarily interested in looking like they have money. They're interested in actually having money. And that money not running out. So as a society, we need to change our mindset for sure. We need to have a mindset shift. And while we talk about this mindset shift, I'd love to introduce the concept of instant versus delayed gratification. It's not really a new concept. You guys would have probably heard about this at some point in your life. And to be honest, this is the game changer. Instant gratification basically tells us that you must have that thing right now. You need to get that bag. You need to buy the most expensive champagne in the club. You need to get that car right now. It needs to be instant and get it at all costs. Even if you go into major debt, you're basically saying, I'm going to ignore my debtors when they call me. I'll just give them the wrong number. I'll block them, but I need to get this thing right now. So with instant gratification, you obviously feel gratified in that moment. However, you need to then end up, or you get to a point now where you need to deal with the undesirable consequences that follow that action, that hasty action, impulsive action. Now you're sitting with consequences that come after that. Delayed gratification, on the other hand, says, wait, not yet. Delayed gratification says to you, not yet. Think about it first. Can you really afford this thing now? Do you need to get it now, or can you pause for now and wait to even get a better one later? Just wait, pause. Do you need to do it right now? So once again, we're not saying don't enjoy your money, especially when you work hard for that money. You literally make sure that you earn an honest living. You do need to reward yourself. So we're not saying don't spend money on yourself or spend money on things that you like. What we are saying is there must be a balance. And we are saying that you must analyze the opportunity cost of every decision that you make. And when we're looking at opportunity cost, you need to be asking yourself, what is this decision costing me right now? Is it going to result in stress later when my phone is ringing off the hook because I owe people money, or now I can't even buy essentials, I need to be borrowing basics? What is the opportunity cost? What is this going to cost me in the long run? When we're now also looking at future plans, how does this decision affect my future plans? Perhaps you want to buy a house in the next 2 years. What if this decision now that you're making to instead spend 20,000 rands at one go is now delaying that process of 2 years to extend it to 5 years? Because now it's actually going to take you longer to save for that deposit for your home, so that you can actually reduce your monthly premiums. What is this decision costing you? That's what you need to be analyzing at all times. And truthfully, if you analyze what this is costing you, you are more likely to lean then more towards delayed gratification, because you'll realize, if I pause now, wait a bit, I'm actually going to get something better later on. So you'll realize that with every decision that we make, sometimes we might think that these decisions are small, but they add up. A quick decision to gratify a desire now might actually be significant enough that it changes the trajectory of your next 5, 10, 15, or even 20 years. The cost of it is not just you using that money right there, being happy, feeling fulfilled, feeling like you're the guy, all eyes on me. Look at, what is it costing me? Maybe it's not costing you anything immediately, but long term, it's going to definitely have a ripple effect. And that's what we need to be focusing on when we're making money decisions. Have a balance. Spoil yourself for sure. Buy other things at what cost? What is the cost of this decision? Always have the future in mind. So there you have it. I've explained money. Money is a medium of exchange. We use money to buy goods and services. It's currency. Riches refers to an abundance of money or assets. You can have those assets or that money today, but it can be gone tomorrow if you do not make the right decisions. And wealth, on the other hand, wealth is referring to your net worth, where you literally focus on accumulating assets that make more money for you, so that you constantly have an inflow of money. You have an inflow. As you spend, there is more coming in. As you spend, there is more coming in. So you can definitely be rich and not be wealthy, but it is almost impossible to be wealthy and not be rich. So what do you want? Do you want to be rich, or do you want to be wealthy? I'd like to pose a challenge for you. I'd like you to do some introspection. Look at some of the decisions that you've been making around money. You're purchasing, every month, the trends, like, how are you spending your money? Do you have the mindset of a wealthy person, which obviously adopts delayed gratification? Or are you just somebody who's just thinking, you know what, I'm going to do my best to get rich. It's fine if I lose it all, but at least I'll have stories to tell at family gatherings and be like, hey, there was a time when I once had XYZ. Is that your mindset? Do some introspection, really. Be honest with yourself and ask yourself the question, am I making the right money decisions to support what it is I want to achieve in the long run? Am I having the mindset of a rich person, or am I having the mindset of a wealthy person? Am I really managing my money correctly? That's what you need to be asking yourself, really. It's a challenge to you. Please take it to the people around you as well. Ask your friends the same question and engage further on this topic. If there's something specific as well that I touched on that you think, hey, you know what, I'd like to do a bit more research on that, I urge you to do it. Have these conversations, equip yourself with tools, equip yourself with more information. But hopefully after this conversation, really, you can say, you know what, I understand what money is. I understand what it means to be rich. I understand what it means to be wealthy. And this is what I want to do for myself. And this is what I'm going to do differently to ensure that I'm headed in that direction. So I repeat, for me personally, get money, live rich because I love the soft life, and die wealthy. So my mind is definitely set on being wealthy. Hashtag generational wealth. Thank you so much for joining us today on episode 2 of Money Conversations with PH. Let's continue sparking conversations. Continue having these conversations with your people. Take it to your circles, inner circles, outer circles. You know what to do. Thank you.